There once was a man in the land of Uz. His name was Job. This man was special. He was blameless and upright. He feared God with all his heart. He turned away from evil in every part of his life. His character was pure. His reputation was spotless. People knew him as a man of great integrity. He walked closely with God each day. His life was a shining example. Job was a very wealthy man. God had blessed him greatly. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. His family brought him immense joy. He owned 7,000 sheep. He had 3,000 camels. 500 yoke of oxen pulled his plows. 500 donkeys worked on his land. He also had a very large number of servants. Indeed, Job was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His prosperity was evident to everyone around him. Job cared deeply for his children's spiritual well-being. He showed this through his actions. After his children held their feasts, Job would rise early. He would send for them and have them purified. Then he would offer burnt offerings for each one. He did this because he thought, "Perhaps my sons have sinned." He worried they might have cursed God in their hearts during their celebrations. Job did this faithfully, time after time. His devotion was a constant thread in his life. God himself took notice of Job. He was pleased with his servant. One day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord. Satan, the accuser, also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" God then declared something wonderful about Job. "There is no one on earth like him," God said. "He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." God was proud of Job's unwavering faith. This set the stage for a great test. Then suddenly Job's world turned upside down. Trouble arrived, like an unwelcome storm. It came quickly. It came with great force. A messenger rushed to Job. His face was pale with fear. "The Sabaeans attacked," he cried out. "They have carried off your oxen and donkeys," he continued. "They put the servants to the sword. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." This news was a heavy blow. Job's peaceful and prosperous world began to shake violently. Before the first messenger had even finished speaking, another arrived. He was breathless and distraught. "The fire of God fell from the heavens," this one gasped. "It burned up the sheep and the servants. They are all gone. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." The disasters piled up, one right after another. Job could barely catch his breath. The pain was becoming immense. His sense of security was completely shattered in those moments. While this second messenger was still speaking, yet another one came. His eyes were wide with terror. "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties," he reported urgently. "They swept down on your camels and carried them off. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." Job's vast wealth vanished like morning mist. Everything he had worked so hard for was gone in a flash. The very foundations of his life were crumbling beneath his feet. Then, the final, most crushing blow of all arrived. A fourth messenger came. His face was etched with grief. "Your sons and daughters were feasting," he said, his voice trembling with sorrow. "They were in the oldest brother's house." Suddenly, a mighty wind swept in from the desert. It struck the 4 corners of the house. The house collapsed upon them. "They are all dead." Job's heart broke into 1,000,000 pieces. His children, his beloved children, were all gone. The pain was unbearable. Upon hearing this devastating news, Job was overcome with grief. He stood up and tore his robe, a sign of deep mourning. He shaved his head, another custom showing his sorrow. Then he fell to the ground. But he did not curse. He fell to the ground in worship. He spoke words of incredible faith. "Naked I came from my mother's womb," he declared, "and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this terrible suffering, Job did not sin by blaming God. But the testing was not yet over. Satan appeared before God again. "Skin for skin," Satan argued. "A man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones," Satan challenged, "and he will surely curse you to your face." So the Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life." Job's suffering was about to enter a new, more personal and agonizing phase. God allowed it, knowing Job's heart. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. He afflicted Job with painful sores. These sores covered his entire body. From the soles of his feet to the crown of his head, he was in agony. Job took a piece of broken pottery. He used it to scrape his itching, painful skin. He sat among the ashes, a picture of utter misery and desolation. His own wife, seeing his suffering, said to him, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die," she urged. But Job replied, "You are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In this too, Job did not sin with his lips. Job's 3 friends heard about all the troubles that had come upon him. Their names were Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They made plans to go together. They wanted to sympathize with Job and comfort him in his sorrow. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. His suffering had changed him so much. They began to weep aloud. They tore their own robes and sprinkled dust on their heads toward heaven. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering truly was. Their silent presence at first was a small comfort. After 7 days of silence, Job finally broke his silence. He opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. He poured out his anguish and deep despair. Then his friends began to speak. Eliphaz was the first. He suggested that Job must be suffering because of some hidden sin. "Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished?" Eliphaz asked. He advised Job to appeal to God and repent. He implied that Job's horrible troubles were a form of divine discipline for wrongdoing. His words, though meant to help, did not bring comfort. Bildad spoke next. He argued that God is always just. He said God does not pervert justice. He even suggested that Job's children might have died because they had sinned against God. He told Job that if he were truly pure and upright, God would surely restore him. Then Zophar spoke, and his words were even harsher. He accused Job of hiding his iniquities. He claimed Job actually deserved even worse suffering than he was enduring. Their speeches were long and filled with what they thought was wisdom, but they completely misunderstood Job and God's ways. Their words added to Job's immense pain. Job listened to his friends. He engaged in long, painful debates with them. He strongly defended his integrity, insisting he had done nothing to deserve such punishment. He questioned God. Why was he suffering so much? He felt abandoned and alone. He cried out to God from the depths of his pain and confusion. Yet, even in his darkest moments, a flicker of hope remained. "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him," Job declared. His faith, though severely battered, was not entirely broken. He longed for God himself to speak. Finally, after all the human words had faded, God answered Job. He spoke not in a gentle whisper, but from a mighty whirlwind. God did not give Job a simple explanation for his suffering. Instead, he revealed his own awesome power, his infinite wisdom, his sovereign control over all creation. He questioned Job about the foundations of the earth, the stars, the sea, and the wild animals. Job was humbled. He saw his own smallness and God's unimaginable greatness. "I know that you can do all things," Job confessed. "No purpose of yours can be thwarted." He repented in dust and ashes. His faith was not destroyed. It was refined and made stronger. It became more personal, rooted in a direct encounter with God. The Lord then blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the first. He gave him twice as much as he had before. He gave him a new family, more children. Job lived a long and full life. He learned that even in the deepest darkness, God is always present. True faith can endure any trial and emerge brighter.